I'm glad we have this high-level analysis on the casting desk. No, but
I mean,
yeah.
If you can't explain something easy, you don't understand it well enough, you know? So
that is true.
We can simplify it. We can simplify it.
That is true, but like the easy part is the format. Actually winning the rounds to get there is the difficult thing, because the level these guys are playing at and the practice they put in now, going into the season is incredible. I mean, just the pace they're driving is unheard of.
Absolutely. Look, I was watching the Challenger cast that you did as well, right?
Yeah.
And even the pace there was incredible as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing if I can spot the tiny differences that are happening here in the maps.
And
give them a little bit extra.
And there's been so much talk of like hidden lines. For one, I think even the start here on Quicksand, there is a line they've discussed where you can go really early to the right and past the bushes. Yeah, just like Carl Jr. just did. This is one of the hidden racing lines that is a little bit faster that players have been working on. And if they've found something like this, then they haven't, you know, we could have more surprises like this, that they go even faster.
The players have a tendency to sometimes, you know, practice offline, so they don't show their strategies to the others, right?
Exactly, yeah. It's a mind game. Like, do my opponents have a new line? Is there anything? And then you kind of have to like twist your head, like, is there any line I'm missing? How are they this much faster, etc.
The question is, if we see any new lines, are the other players going to adapt and do it as well? Or are they going to stick with what they know and what they feel like they're comfortable with?
Yeah, and there might also be like, you know, they know the line exists. It's just like, how can you do this consistently? This is so difficult. But guys, we are going live into this first match of the first step of Trackmania Grand League Spring 2022. It's a new format, and it is 5 gorgeous new tracks that will be played today. This is the first one and the first match we're watching. Scrappy, Carl Jr., Otak, and Mutta. And we are live with Carl Jr. instantly hitting the tree. And he's not off to a good start.
No, but we have Otak here in the front, together with Mutta, going super fast in the first left-handed dirt turn right here. You really want to make sure you don't drift too much in these dirt turns. That's going to decrease your speed. In here on the left-hander, can you take over right now, because I'm having a little bit of technical issues?
I will take over. Otak in the lead on his first ever Trackmania Grand League step. We've talked so much about it last season, how it would be interesting to see Otak and Mime, the newly qualified players, and how they'd hold up. But look at him here. He's matching Mutta in this first round. Mutta with a lot of speed out of the ice though. That is a beautiful slide. Will have the exit speed as well, but now needs a good ending to beat Otak, who is 0.2 ahead before the quicksand. Coming into the identity of the track, you want to steer early to the right to get this dirt booster and then hit the dirt road as well in the end. And look at Mutta's speed here. He will get closer to Otak, but it's not enough to win. But the winning time is incredible. 108.23 is 3/10 away from the world record by Massa currently. So a really good time.
It is all about knowing, you know, how much of the penalty sand you want to take compared to the regular one, how much you're going to drift there. It is going to cost you tenths of a second if you accidentally swallow too much of that. Going into the second round right here, once again at the left-handed dirt turn without any engine, want to make sure you don't lose too much speed, because that is going to snowball into the rest of the map. Mutta here taking the lead, Carl Jr. getting really, really close to him. Scrappy also up there. Mutta actually extending it a little bit right here, going out of the ice into the jump. We're gonna see the identity pretty soon here.
Curious to see Carl Jr. now, like if he can bounce back from that mistake, especially going into the end where he gets a really good line. Mutta's wide line has not worked out so far. Going for that, he's trying to get more exit speed, but you can see like Carl Jr. is already above the next hill and beyond. 0.6 of a lead going into the end. This should be a Carl win. As you said, don't want to touch the sand too much and just try to get bits and pieces off that road while cutting it a little bit. And Carl drives almost the exact same winning time, 108.23. That's the standard in this match.
1 point for each, Otak and Carl right here. The identity, or the left-handed slide there into the grass part, you really want to make sure your wheels are facing forward so you don't lose too much speed from entering it in a drift it can be very, very tricky getting that line down.
Yeah, and also this one right here, the dirt turn, you have to drive on the banking. They go all the way up and try to stay there as long as possible, as then they let the turn kind of do the steering for them, so they keep more speed on the dirt. Here into the bobsleigh, you want to keep as much speed as you can as well. Just reduce airtime on all these small transitions. And Scrappy missing the bobsleigh line here, going sideways. That is not going to be the round for him. Mutta almost hitting the checkpoint up front. But we have a really close race before the end. Let's see if Mutta now can get a better ice part, because that high line, it has not been working out. And we see Carl Jr. again catching up. Yeah, I think Carl's line is better.
I think Carl's line going on the inside, staying very tight. It does give him a very nice entrance into that grass part, going into the last section right here, where he does seem to be doing just fine. We don't see Carl losing a lot of time right here. Mutta right behind him. But Carl does end it off with a very nice 108.1, actually being faster than previous round.
Yeah, and that's an amazing winning time. I mean, the world record, it's 107.91 by Massa. And oh, that was a big crash we saw. I think it was Scrappy. And this is unfortunate, but Scrappy's a very momentum-based player. When he gets good round after good round, it's really good. But if he makes a mistake, he often struggles to come back from it. And now we have a 3-player race with Carl Jr. falling behind a little bit here on his first finalist attempt. But if he wins this round, then he will successfully move on to the winner bracket. And right now, there's just one player in his way, and that's Otak.
Otak is doing just fine here, keeping his lead, remaining steady, not losing that much time here. Let's see into the next checkpoint. He is maintaining a solid 0.2 ahead of Carl Jr. He's also going for this really inside tight line, but Carl Jr. does seem to have a little bit more exit speed, actually gaining up on Otak a little bit, doing a very small drift. Carl Jr. going for the inside line right there. That is so beautifully done, and actually overtakes him. Let's see, by the checkpoint, we're talking 0.1 seconds. It's going to be really tight here in the ending, going over the penalty grass. Carl Jr. does it beautifully. Otak is going to get a little bit further behind, and Carl Jr. actually secures his place as first.
That small side ramp to reduce airtime, land earlier on the grass, was the difference between winning and losing that round. And having the guts to go for that in the live race is something. You know, the strategy, we saw it in practice, but if you cut off too much airtime there, you just clip the ramp and lose anyways. Like, you're out of the race. So clutch from Carl to win there in 4 rounds. He gets 3 wins. Now let's see who of the others can take the second spot in the winner bracket. The top 2 go to the winner bracket, and the bottom 2 go to the loser bracket here in the first match. So Otak looking the best right now, already having a point and also being in first. But let's not count out Scrappy, who looks to have bounced back a little bit from his earlier mistakes.
And as you've said, it can be really hard bouncing back from mistakes like that. It really gets in your head. But Scrappy also going for the inside line right here. Might be able to overtake Mutta for second place. Otak remains in first. He has been also very, very solid. Was almost winning against Carl Jr. here on the last round. Goes for a pretty outside line, but does set up for a nice line for this right-handed drift right here. Scrappy right behind him, though. He might be able to do something for Scrappy. Unfortunately, hitting the booster. Otak is going to remain first, taking that finalist position.
And Otak's been so consistent. Like, he's been a bit overshadowed by Carl Jr., who, I mean, he is Carl Jr. He wins, right? But Otak has been matching him pretty well, driving 108.1, 0.2, 0.3 every round. He hasn't crashed yet, Otak, and the other 2 players have been struggling a bit. And that's why Otak is now finalist, and he only needs 1 more to secure the winner bracket spot. So we have to see if Mutta and Scrappy can deny him that last win here and try to get some points on the board themselves. You see Mutta, he has been consistently getting fast starts, but I think that one ice line where Carl Jr. went really inside, that's what's costing him. He hasn't hit that approach. Definitely. Needs to see if he can do it now. Scrappy and him are top 2. Otak's just a little bit behind though, and I'm sure he would love to overtake them after this ice bit.
And we look at Mutta once again going for a very uphill line right there. He enters the grass very, very much on the 90-degree side of things, and he almost goes for the ram cut right there. Does not really do. We see a mistake there. Was that Scrappy unfortunately jumping out? Mutta does have the first place lead. He needs to get this win to take it away from
close. He has the speed. Otak might snipe this. It's gonna be right down to the wire on the line. Less than 100th of a second. Only 8,000 to spare. But Mutta denies Otak the win for now. And Mutta and Scrappy's hope are still remaining in the match here to get to winner bracket.
It was very close there in the ending. Really seeing the difference in the speed drifts you get right there. You can see the players are trying to do one of the advanced techniques here in Trackmania, making sure they squeeze every single one. Oh, Otak making a mistake, not getting that finalist position over with. And it's going to be down to Scrappy or Mutta taking this round.
Yeah, and when you think about it, like when you make so many mistakes in finalist and the other players start to get closer and closer to Scrappy into the wall, this could be Mutta now reaching finalist. And this puts a lot of stress on your shoulders because like you were doing so well, you were looking to win, and now all of a sudden another player is finalist. They could snipe it away from you and you could go into loser bracket. It's a tough spot. So next round, it is going to be very important for Otak to get cleanly through the start and win it, because Mutta has a lot of momentum going into this finals attempt. It should be. We're calling it very early. I mean, the race is not over, but a player of Mutta's skill level should be able to just safely drive this run to the finish line, and he will do so, even with a really good time, 1:08 at that, and Mutta's now finalist.
And as you said, it is all about this consistency. But you might also think, the people watching, like it's only one race from start to finish. You can't really afford to go too slow, even if that's your consistent way. You really also gotta risk it everywhere to be as fast as possible. So it's this really nice juxtaposition between going respawn. Very... Oh, Scrappy respawn. Oh no. But this difference between going safe but also risking it where you know you're able to.
Exactly, yeah, and Scrappy tried to do the safer start approach, but he respawned after crashing the wall, so he's now 8 seconds behind. And what that means is that one of the two finalists will win here and get into winner bracket. It's a 1 versus 1. This is the round to do it. Otak versus Mutta. Otak won the earlier rounds. Mutta's got 2 back-to-back, and now the Iceland could be the decisive part. Mutta's going high, but will it pay off in the exit speed? We see him being slightly faster than Otak, and here he might have to go for the low jump strategy. He's going to try a little bit to stay very level with his opponent, but it's coming down to the end speed. Otak going into the sand here needs to hit the approach for the right-hander. Beautiful entry, and now the speed onto the last road. It will be Otak taking this run ahead of Mutta. A great final race there, but Otak and Carl go into winner bracket.
Well played by both of the players, and it really came down to Mutta getting that inside line on the penalty dirt right there, costing him almost 0.2 of a second.
And now Mutta actually did a late start. Might have had a sip of water or something, but he started 0.4 behind. And they are playing for 3rd place here to decide seedings in the loser bracket of things. So he does need to win one more time. But despite the 0.4 deficit, like starting late, he has caught it all up again by the plastic turn. So Mutta is actually in a great run, just that he started late.
Absolutely, and it might, come down to what you just said. It might come down to your headspace. Oh,
your headspace? Yeah, the driver's headspace there, not really making it under the checkpoint beam. So you are exactly correct in that analysis. This is probably Mutta's win here, Janik.
But yeah, there was so much pressure getting the top 2 positions, and once that's over with, you can maybe relax, let down your shoulders a little bit. And Mutta had maybe a little bit more free mind space to just chill with the map and gaining that on Scrappy.
And he did indeed. And like Scrappy, I think he never really got into the flow of this map, and it was a bit too late even at this point to come back. So that is the results from this match. There are many matches played at the same time, so we are going to check one of the other matches that are currently being played. Actually, they've almost all been decided. We can check it. Group 2 with Papu, Binks, Pack, and the last player that I didn't see. Let's jump in. Let's see. So it's the same track. And in this match, it's Pack versus Kappa, actually. In the loser bracket, Kappa is finalist, and Pack has gotten a point. That is the current standing. The Pack is leading the race. And into the ice part, he will have a small lead. Releases, though, to avoid a crash. And he, too, goes for that low bobsleigh line. It's very even between the two. Kappa with more speed, but he hits the wall. And it's going to be a double finalist situation. Pack versus Kappa in a 1 versus 1 after Pack closes this one out. A small formality, reaching the finish line, and we'll see who gets 3rd and 4th seed in this one. It looks like the times we were treated to on our server where, oh no! Pack hitting the first bush, the leaf, that decided the race, I think. I mean, it's not impossible, but it's 0.6 against Kappa. And it's not an easy gap to close, but did Kappa hit the wall?
It really looked like it.
Yeah, it looked like he had to panic brake. He's closing the gap little by little.
Not 100% over yet. There are these risky lines that Pack can go for it, like the ramp cut right here, or jumping super far, almost hitting the CP, both doing just fine. Pack is not 100% out of it yet, but Pack gets a no slide, it looks like, and he's gonna slow down quite a lot. And if Kappa just maintains his lead right here, he should have this in his bag.
I mean, yeah, just have to avoid the walls now, just pull safe mode. Marius 89, don't hit any walls, don't crash. And he will safely get that 3rd seed in the match.
We're talking about the seeds. Why are they so important? Let us know. What is it that makes them so important?
Oh, the seeding. You're right. So the thing that's very important is if you win your match, then you will go up into the winner bracket. You'll play against the other winners, which makes it a very tough match. But if you keep winning matches today and you stay in the highest part of the bracket, you can get the best medal at the end. Like, the winner of today's matches will be the guy who gets the champion medal. And for that, you need at least a scoreline of 4-1. So you have to win at least 4 matches. You can afford to lose one, but that's what you need. So for players like Pack and Kappa, it's not over. They lost their first match. Now they need 4 in a row. That's what they need.
Yeah, and that can be difficult. Bouncing back from a loss is always difficult.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a bit surprising, honestly, to see Pack losing, because, I mean, it's tough opponents, but he was the best player in the previous season of Trackmania Grand League. He won that season. So him losing his first match, maybe, you know, just shaking loose a little bit, getting some nerves out. I don't really think Pack has nerves. He's a Chad. But but yeah, like, a bit surprising to me of a result. Were there anything that surprised you in the first step here? First match?
I mean, I think the pure pace from all players. I was a little surprised about Scrappy's performance, honestly, because I did have a little bit of an eye on Scrappy. I thought he was maybe gonna save it a little bit more, but you know, it happens. It's about getting into the rhythm of the game. Absolutely. I am happy to see Carl Jr. back in the back to his old self. Yeah. Compared to last time here. So
yeah, it's great to see a motivated Carl Jr. just driving like unheard of pace, because a lot of people who've discovered Trackmania have discovered it in a time where Carl Jr. hasn't been that motivated for Trackmania Grand League. But this season they changed the format. He really likes the new format, and now you get to see why we all are just so terrified of this creature that is Carl Jr. on the racing tracks. We have match number 2 coming up in the format. They play 5 matches. Match number 2 is coming up. And we have 2 matches. It's Carl Jr., Bren, Binks, and Offie. They all won their first match. And it's Papu, Mime, Otak, and Masa, who also won their first match. And I'm going to say match 2 here on the next map is going to be Fireworks. Because you have Masa and Mime, 2 of the fastest players on that track. Papu as well, really high on the leaderboards, and Otak. So I think we should watch match 2 going into this one.
Let's jump in there then. Absolutely. Well, if Virtual promises fireworks, I do.
It's a celebration of Trackmania esports that we all love. We are on the server. Gonna put you guys on the server with me so we can get to enjoy this. Let me update you guys on the leaderboards on this track. So the world record is set by Mutta. So 1:10.75. But then you have Mime in second, 1:10.84. Massa in third, 1:10.85. And the other two players, Papu has a 1:11.34. But I think that is not his real personal best because it was driven 16 days ago. So Papu probably has a better personal best offline. And Otak always practices offline. So those are our mystery. We don't know what they're capable of.
It's definitely going to be interesting to see. But just remember, guys, in chat, if you see a 1:10 driven, that is top 5 world on the online leaderboards, guys.
Yeah, it's a crazy time.
1:10 related is just going to be super fast.
Yeah. And the identity here, the obstacle part, you can see Otak is about to arrive at it. It's called the icy jump. So you have a bumper block here, you jump onto the ice, and then you have to set up for another ice slide, another bumper, and go to the finish. It's a really tough jump to aim because you don't really see the you see Papu go for it. You don't really see where the checkpoint is when you jump. You kind of have to base it on feeling. And we've seen players miss this because it's really precise.
Absolutely. Muscle memory is going to be key here for the game. That's why these players have practiced these maps for a lot of hours. To be like almost playing these blindfolded would be a possibility for these guys. They have it in the back of their hand.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if we're going to see any wicked 360 strats on this map here.
You know, we saw it in Challenger, and I saw Mutta talk about it, that it was actually 0.3 slower than the fastest method.
Really?
So, although it was cool to see the 360, I'm not sure if anyone's going to go for it. It remains to be seen. I mean, there might be another 360. There was even a strategy that Grenadi had. I'll quickly go to it in the free camera. Where you jump out of this looping, you drive this looping, flip into the checkpoint, and keep the gear. But it was 0.3 too slow. People are smart. That's all I want to say.
Okay.
And we're about to begin.
Like a match strategy? That seems a little risky.
A little bit on the risky side, you could say that. But then again, if you want to win, then you got to take some risks. We'll see that very soon. 15 seconds before we start here on Icy Jump.
That's true, and I'm very much looking forward because I love these ice maps because they just look so smooth when you see the pro players play them. But just know, guys, that the car control that you need to do these jumps and these ice slides, they are very, very precise.
It is incredible.
Do not take it for granted.
We're starting off here. Quick Neo slide before you go into the ice to get an earlier ice slide. And then we will see a no slide. They snap into stopping the car from sliding to maintain more speed. Mime did that start section beautifully and already gained a 10th on 3 of the other people in the winner bracket. Wide setup for the downhill drift here to carry as much speed as you can into the bobsleigh. Wanna build that speed up the hill before the next jump. And Massa perhaps setting up a bit wide here, hitting the grass. Will just pull him back a little bit. That grass is super slow to drive on. So the other 3 pull ahead. Mime, very clean start so far. Now trying to get an early low jump into the checkpoint. Then wide setup on this long bank dirt turn. Snap to the left before setting up for the downhill drift to the right. And then we'll see how they do the end. We mentioned 360s. We mentioned a hard blind jump to aim. Up the hill. Will they hit it here? Mime the first to have a crack at it. Papu close to follow. Mime looks like he has this one under control, but Papu getting very close there. And the winning time, 1:11.22. We mentioned if you do a 1:10, that's a crazy time. But 1:11.22 is pretty damn good.
Absolutely. It's still top 10 world on the online leaderboard, so it is definitely fast. Going into the next round right here, we see all players going super close to each other, but Massa making a mistake in the beginning. He is going to lose almost half a second right there. So we have the top 3 players being neck and neck. Mime once again in front. We're maybe going to see a few different lines going into the bobsleigh here, because the bobsleigh can't push you into the middle of the track. As you see Mime there getting into the center of the track, setting up for a nice slide right here. He did that by getting a very specific line into the bobsleigh turn. Want to maintain your ground contact to continue the acceleration. You see Papu actually with a bad gear, I think, right there. If you accidentally gear up or gear down on the plastic section, if you're drifting, you're going to lose a lot of time with the wide line. Once again, both players doing just fine. Masa is 0.5 behind, but nothing is over yet because there are room for mistakes here in the ending. It is possible. Papu going very tight to the wall right here.
He might hit the tree because he doesn't have the speed. Oh, it's close. He makes it.
Just jumped over it, and Mime does seem to have it in his bag again. Right there, Masa overtaken for second. But 1:11.0 is an incredible time coming out from Mime. 2 rounds in a row.
Yeah, and he's looking unstoppable here. The world record is 1:10.75. That is the fastest time that we know anyone's driven in weeks and weeks of practice. And Mime is very close to that consistently here. He's just really clean. And this is a track that does, like, it screams of Mime. Masa with a mistake, falling behind. And he is the closest one to match Mime on the leaderboards. But, oh, now the others have a chance because he does not look so unstoppable. And he hits a wall. Papu and Otak, the 2 French players, have jumped up into a big lead. And they have to battle it out here for who gets the point.
And it is a very close battle indeed. We're talking only 1/100th of a second separating the 2 players. Otak with a really inside line there. I think he's going to lose a little bit of exit speed. You're going to see Papu gaining a little bit on him right here because of that wider line he got. Both going into the last jumps right here. The identity of the map. It is very close. Otak actually overtaken again, but not that much of a drift coming in from him. He's going to stabilize here. Papu with a slide out, and Otak actually doing just fine. Getting first place with 1:11.3. Not slow at all.
I think that ending line from Otak is actually a hidden line. Because throughout the weeks of practice, we've seen every single player turn sideways on that jump. I think he very intentionally didn't turn sideways and then did a delayed ice slide on the landing. I think Otak here has a trick up his sleeve.
We can take a look at him once again once we get there. But going into the next map right here, we do have a finalist, Mime here, who is in it to win it right now. He's in a top 3 situation. He does have a really nice entrance into the bobsleigh. You can see he does want to jump to the left, land in a right-handed drift right there. He does eat a lot of the penalty grass, unfortunately losing a little bit of time. And Papu and Masa are now going to be in front. But it is a very, very close field. Less than 2:10 separating all of the players. Masa going a little bit wider, but he's going to have a nice entrance into this jump right here. Mime jumping very, very far. Actually overtaking a few people. Now up to second place. Let's see what happens here in the ending.
Yeah, look at this round. All 4 players are here. Eyes on Otak as he goes for that new jump line. Will he be able to catch up to Mime and Masa, who have a lot of a faster start? You see he lands flat. The other 3 land sideways. Will this pay off in exit speed? It might. Look how far he's jumping. He almost caught up again, but Masa takes that round by 0.004 of a second. That is one hell of a match right there.
That line definitely looks like it can pay off. It is a little scary because he gets a little bit wide in the ending, so he has a pretty high chance of eating a lot of that outside snow, slowing down his car a little bit. But if he gets it perfectly, I think definitely that line could eat some time from the other players.
Yeah, and it's a miracle almost that they survived that attack because Otak's going to have so much speed in that last jump if he survives now. Question is if he can keep up and actually make use of it. You know, he's been keeping it. Nobody knows of this line, I think. He's been keeping it secret. And the other players are now just seeing it, if they even know he's doing it. But now he fell half a second behind, and at that point, it won't really matter. Mime's still finalist. Papu is the closest one to deny him the win, and he's a 10th behind. And he does not have the strategy, but he has clean dirt lines. Papu, 3 times Gamers Assembly champion on dirt. Back in the days, he's a master of the surface. Beats Mime in that section, and he has to lead before the final jump. But now, will Mime do what Mime does best and get a perfect ice slide here? Looks so clean for Mime. But I hear an engine. Is that Masa trying to get the win? Almost. takes it from him, but Mime safely on through to the winner bracket in the next round.
Absolutely, and I think the pace, low 111s every single round, is very scary to be up against, no matter who you are, right? Some really high pace coming in from all the players right here. Mime securing his win here, very, very nice. He drove very consistently on this map. That's how he won 3 rounds already. Papu in the lead though by not a lot. We're gonna see about 0.1 second in the lead. He has a little bit of a scary line going into this one. Otag trying to get a good drift in, but Masa is now in second place. Papu extending his lead actually a little bit right here, looking very, very good.
And Papu having the lead before that dirt part means he's gonna be most likely even further ahead after it. It's just one turn, but he's able to get just a little bit better than the others. And here, Otag hitting the wall, Masa losing speed to Papu. It's gonna be probably 0.4 of a second before that big icy jump, and now Papu with a good chance to get a first round on the board. He hasn't won yet, just needs the ice slide, but Masa's so good on the end. Gets more speed, Masa. Is it gonna be enough? No, Papu takes it, 1:11.06.
That is a good time.
I mean, top 5 world. It's actually top 5.
You said it, like, if Papu gets a good lead and maintains it into the dirt section of the map, he has a very, very nice chance of maintaining a very nice lead all the way up until the last ice jumps there. And therefore, he can afford to do them a little bit more sloppy than Masa right there. Masa did catch up a little bit to him. But if he is 0.2 ahead, he can afford that. And I think that might be the tactic coming from Papu here. Getting an early lead, trying to extend it through the dirt lines. And then maybe... Oh, Masa with such a wonky line. Does he save it though? It's a low jump from him. He actually does save it. Papu gaining a little bit on him. Overtakes for first. Otag getting a little bit of airtime here on third. But we see
have
the players...
speed, to go for that jump over the small barrier. He loses out a little bit, Otag. And it's so interesting how it balances out, because now, going into the dirt, Papu is the favorite to gain a little bit of time. Masa trying to defend, but you can see that is the difference. And into the tech part, Masa is suddenly the favorite to extend a little bit here, as he's better on this style of track. But who gets the best end? They're side by side onto the jump. Turn the car sideways. Looks like Masa with the better setup. Papu trying to get more speed, but no. Masa takes this one, and he's the first of these 3 to reach finalists.
Absolutely. And you guys at home might be thinking, why are they so much on the side when they land? Isn't that slower? But it's because ice sliding actually increases your speed. And then they turn around in the air, making sure that they don't get that slowdown from starting to drive straight. It's actually a very, very smart move. That's why it's very cool to see Otag thinking outside the box, not landing in that ice slide and actually gaining time on it.
And I'm actually struggling to see how Otag's line is that fast, because yes, in Trackmania logic, landing sideways on the ice and steering makes you accelerate. So everyone goes for that, but then Otag finds out, wait, if I just delay this a little bit, I can get even more speed. And now he's gonna have to use it to his advantage, because if he doesn't beat Masa in this round with Papu making a mistake, he will go into the loser's bracket. And I think he would very much so like to stay on the green side, on the top side. Needs to beat Masa in the ending. A beautiful chance to demonstrate what he's capable of in the ending. They're basically neck and neck here. But let's see who has the best strategy. Will Masa get it with the sideways line, or will Otag with the straight jump be the victor?
Straight.
And now the ice slide. Is it going to be enough to take the win? He hits the snow, and no. That penalty snow on the side makes his car slow down. Enough for Masa to secure it.
It's exactly what we talked about. That penalty snow right there is very dangerous if you're going for the line that Otag found there. Because it does set you up for a wide line, and you have to land in that drift to make sure you don't hit the snow. That can be very, very difficult.
Yeah, exactly. Now we have, that was actually the first match to conclude. All the other ones are ongoing. I think we should join the other winner bracket match between Carl Jr., Uffy, Bren, and Binks to see who of these players will join Masa and Mime in the winner bracket. Looks like it is actually already decided. Bren and Binks have won, so Carl Jr. and Uffy lost that match.
That is an interesting turn of events right there.
Especially after seeing how fast Carl was, you know? That was perhaps not something we'd expect. Let's check out the
fan favorite
third match as well, which was Pack, Gwen, but I think also Spam and Mutta. There's 2 finalists. Mutta's already won. Gwen is finalist here, looking to close it out. Oh, but will he? Yes, he will. Gwen securing himself, going up in the bracket. And that is very interesting, because now Pack and Spam have both lost 2 games. And if you lose 2 games in this format, you cannot win in the end. Like, you can only lose 1 match and still win in the final match. There's a graphic that shows it really well that we can quickly pull up to demonstrate it, I think. I'm going to do that here on the stream for you guys, so you can see what I'm talking about.
You're mentioning these medals that you win, right?
Yeah.
What is it that they exactly are used for, Virtual?
So the medals are for the overall standing. I'm going to pull up the graphic here that explains the format. Right now we are here at the top of the ladder, as I'd like to call it. So let's say a player like Mime, they won 2-0 in their first 2 matches. Massa as well. You had players like Carl, he won the match we spectated and he lost. He's in the 1-1 match. And then Pack and Spam, like we saw, they're in the 0-2 match. And now you can see, just follow the arrows. Let's start from bronze. If you win in bronze, you go to silver in the next match. If you win in silver, you go to gold. But this is the final match. And you can at best then win a gold medal. Whereas let's say you start in silver, you've won 1, lost 1, follow the arrow, you go into gold, and then you go into champion, where you can win the best medal. And this works like the Olympics. So if you win 1 champion medal, that's better than winning 6 gold medals across a season. So winning this valuable champion medal here after a set of matches, after a step, is really valuable. That's why you need the medals. I hope it all makes sense. It's a lot of arrows.
So once again, guys, green means you won.
Yes.
Red means you lost. You want to go as far to the left as possible.
Just follow the arrows. That's what we're trying to do as well. But we have new matches generated for the next step, I think. And we have to check out the winner match, right? The 2-0 match, I think, is the one to take a look at. That will be Binks, Bren, and it will be Mime and Massa. I think that's a really good match to take a look at.
Absolutely. Can you talk a little bit about the map that they're going to drive on then?
Yeah, that is going to be Tightrope. We actually have all of these map previews and we haven't shown you. We can show you Tightrope right now in the map presentation. This is a very compact track. It's made to show very low speed driving, and that's weird for a high level Trackmania competition, but it's a lot of micromanaging your car through narrow corners. You have to gear manage, you have to do no slides. And it ends with balancing on a tightrope, a very difficult, precise part I can see here, where you have to drive back and forth on these small ledges and go into the finish. It's a highly exciting map. Mime and Massa, that I mentioned, are 2 of the fastest players on it that we know of. And I'm sure Binks and Brand have trained it as well. So we're just gonna get on the server. Right now it's not loading for me, Janik. How are you getting in?
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I was so worried.
No, it's not just you. It's not loading. We can try the manual link. 1 second.
None of the servers are loading for me at the moment. I'm assuming they're just booting up a little bit.
Yeah. So we have a small wait time. What a great set of first 2 matches though. It's nice to like get into it again after waiting so long.
Absolutely.
And it's cool to see that.
It's nice to be in the casting booth with you, Virtual. It's actually very nice to be here.
Yeah, you're very welcome, guys. Janik is gonna cast the next step as well, because that's when I go to LA. I'm going to LA for the Streamer Awards next weekend. I won't be able to cast, but Janik's got you covered. His soothing Danish voice will carry you through that step of Trackmania Grand League. And,
absolutely. My face is also gonna be there, so that's
the face is gonna be there as well. That's true.
Gotta break out the suit.
Oh, okay, yeah. Dress up all nice for the cast. I'm about it.
But yeah, I'm sitting in a pink shirt right now, so I don't know if that's gonna be what I'm gonna show my face to 8,000 people to.
I mean, they can't tell. Just the sound is already like a nicely tailored suit, you know. I'd believe it. I would believe it.
But yeah, this tightrope map, I did see it. I did see you cast it again here in the Trackmania Challenger League there. And the ending of this map is so tight. And are we gonna see just as many mistakes, do you think, here in the Grand League?
Yes, I think so. Because the map is just that difficult. I'm gonna real quick try to reload the plugin. I recommend you do the same and see if it works.
Okay.
No, it's not letting us join the server. But yeah, the ending of the map, I can perhaps do an onboard. We have these assets as well. Let's take you guys through a run of the track that they're gonna play. We're watching Musa, and this was the world record before Pack drove an even faster run. But it starts here, going through the checkpoint, a narrow drift to the right. Then you go down the hill, followed by an outside dirt turn, something like the ones Papua is really good at. An inside neo slide here around the corner. Why not just leave a couple of pixels between yourself and the wall, jump up to the next platform, go down the hill, and here another neo slide to go up the hill. A very precise drifting technique before going onto the road. No slide on the dirt here, since you're at very low speed. And we're getting towards that type part that we keep mentioning, which you'll see here in this run. It's after a couple of drifts. Just more of the same, very precise drifting, which is something that really suits players like Musa. Like, that's why you see Musa here. He's one of the best at it. Pack, Tech World Champion, also really good at technical drifting tracks. But here is the ending of the track, where you first line up on the balancing beam, and then quickly snap to the left, line up for the second one, and the last one. And if you clip any corner, any obstacle, your car just flies off, because you're going at 400 speed. It's very difficult.
Absolutely, and one of the things people ask me very often is that what's the benefits from driving on a controller or on a keyboard? There are no real reason for you to play one or the other. Stick to what you want. But one of these, in this ending right here, it can be a little more tough doing very, very precise inputs with high speeds, going on these beams right here. And we might see a little bit of an issue with some of the players. I think, at least, especially because they have to risk so much in the ending. Yeah,
I think keyboard in that ending, it's not often a disadvantage, but you have to be on point with your taps if you're gonna do that ending on keyboard. I sent you the new join link, Janik. I think they're doing it manually. Alright, we're in.
I reload the plugin, it works now, yeah.
Oh, okay. Then we will get you guys in as well. Let's go for match number 3 here between Musa, Bren, Mime, and Binks. And Binks is not just a keyboard player. It's one of the interesting facts. Binks is a laptop keyboard player. A real GigaChad gamer. He's just tapping away at his laptop keyboard. Top 16 world. And even that, he's top 4 right now in the winner's bracket.
So there's absolutely no excuse from you guys if you say, oh, I don't have the newest controller, or my monitor is not the biggest. Nah. We're talking one of the best players in the world here, sitting with his laptop keyboard, competing in the hardest Trackmania tournament. Like,
there's no GTX 3090 graphics card on that laptop. I promise you, it's probably just a school laptop, and he's but it's what works for him, and that's what it's all about. It's what's finding what works for you. There's another player on the field, Grenadi, and he's one of the only steering wheel players that we have. A lot of people play on, even in controllers, you can find anything. Like Spam, for example, for the longest time played on a really old Logitech controller. Like one of those that just has the 1, 2, 3, 4 buttons. Some clunky controller, but he was used to it. I think it was the Logitech F310. And
I heard something about in the old game, like some people were playing with an actual joystick, like one of the helicopter things. That
was also a meta. Like they played joystick because it would give them really smooth control over some of the United cars. But the most fascinating player to me lately is a player in he plays Cup of the Days, and he usually gets Division 1. He's called Boss Bess, and the way he plays, I want you to imagine this. He clicks left mouse button for accelerate, right mouse button for brake. The way he steers the car is by moving the mouse. Like you're aiming in a first-person shooter game. He steers the car by moving the mouse. And then he does like camera changes and stuff on the keyboard with his other hand.
That is like, so what I think about that is, how do you find out that that's your favorite drive? Like, it must be him just trying it for fun one day, like, on a bet with his friends, and then just be like, dude, this is better.
Yeah, it's like, oh, you're messing around. Like, imagine I play mouse, and then you PB, and you're like, what? But yeah, he's consistently Division 1 in Cup of the Days, and I often get beaten by him, and then I spectate him and wonder how on earth is this viable, but it works.
That is amazing. I did not know that. That's a fun fact.
Yeah, that's the craziest setup I've heard. And then you have players like Gwen, who occasionally will play, like, he plays controller, and then he occasionally switches to mouse because controller is too easy. He often just wins then, so...
What?
Yeah, he won a couple of days on mouse, just for fun.
And that is, that just shows you the level of some of these players, guys.
Yeah.
Is that they can on a whim change controls and still have enough game understanding and know just what they have to do to still compete at the top level. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, I think it's just the fundamental understanding of, you know how you want to move the car. And like, the device you use is just a tool to get there, but if you understand what you want the car to do, it's a lot, like, that's the most important thing. That's the fundamental thing. But we are starting out here on Tightrope. It is the winner bracket. All these players have gone 2-0 in their first 2 matches. All wins. Now, 2 of them will lose and 2 will remain in the winner bracket. We'll see who that is. On paper, Massa is one of the favorites here, but he goes out crashing in the first round, and Mime does as well. So it's the 2 French players that have gotten the best of it so far.
So we see Brennan Binks here in the front, and they both are also super good at the map. I don't really see them here in the top. Bren actually on top 4 in the world in the map though. So nothing to scoff at here. Binks on first by 0.1. Bren trying to catch up, actually getting a little bit closer. We see a little bit of a clip from Binks right here, and Bren does take the lead with a really nice inside tight line here, going wide on the dirt, making sure you go as far up as possible without clipping that corner right there. And we go into the identity right here in a second. Who's gonna maintain the lead? Brent does seem to clip the inside right once again, and Binks overtaken right in the ending by 0.03 of a second.
We kept talking about how important this ending is, that you cannot afford to slow down or clip or crash in the obstacle, and you see how important that is. Binks just goes full all in, and it's just enough to snipe it away. Binks takes the first point. Crazy scenes here. But now into the second round, I don't expect we'll see another mistake like that from Massa, who is the favorite. This time it's a role reversal. The 2 French players crash, and it's Mime versus Massa now. Left to fight for it. Massa making a little bit of a mistake going into the downhill part. Actually, that is going to cost him a lot. Mime's got a clear lead. But on this map, it is never over until you cross the finish line, because those balance beams can be catastrophic if you're a little bit off. And Mime on keyboard is going to have to face it now and nail it if he wants to take this win.
Absolutely, and also just the mental game of being on first place, going into that very, very tight last section of the map can be very scary. Mime in the front though, half a second to spare. He can go a little bit slower, save it a little bit if he wants to, but I don't think he's gonna do it. Let's see if he can maintain it. Mime doing just fine right here, showing people how it's done. Straight into the finish with a 1:11.2. Very, very nice time. We're still talking around the almost the top 20 world time at least.
Yeah,
I'm also top 3 in the world on the map as of right now.
This time beats many of the best players' personal bests, I think, even. It's a great run, and if he can do that consistently, it's going to be tough for the others. I mean, really only Massa on paper is going to be able to match that, but the consistency is what won Mime the round. No mistakes. This time, they've all almost made it through. Only Bren with a small hiccup, 0.6 of a second. And here going into the dirt. Let's see who can get it the best here, because on the dirt, you want to no slide, actually. Massa going for a wider line, getting all the dirt and less penalty sand. Gives him more exit speed, and he's catching up here to the others. And then this little jump that you saw is actually a specialty of his. Calls it the muscle line. Because you you keep the gear very intricate Trackmania mechanics you don't need to know. What you need to know is that we have 3 players going into the end. Whoever gets the balance beams the best wins the round. Let's see who can do it. Binks, Mime, and Masa, but Mime already crashes out. Binks in first, gets the line for the second one, but jumps a little bit. Masa with more speed, but he falls off. The respawn, is it gonna be Mime? The only survivor.
Absolutely, and there you can just see sometimes, you know, slow and smooth is fast. Sometimes that is a rule of thumb that you can go by. But it is right here, those really tight lines in the ending can really take you out, and it is a mental game once you get there, because it is, you know, everybody else is risking it, you gotta risk it as well. But right here we have Masa in front, nice wide line. Oh, unfortunately hitting that inside on the hairpin. Binks in first right now, Mime right behind him, Bren there as well. Very, very tight field right here. We gotta remember, Mime is a finalist right here. He wants to close it down. Let's see them get into the no-slide section, trying to get as little of that penalty dirt as you said right there. Once again, neck and neck. Bren actually catching up right here. Does get no airtime at all, and he's gonna get a little bit more speed out of it, and these drifts are very, very precise. You actually see Bren getting a little bit closer, and he's inching in first. Let's see if he can keep it for the rest of the map.
Yeah, Bren drove that entire middle section so well, but it would all be for nothing if he doesn't land the balance beams now. He has the lead by only a 1/10, and the others are easily going to capitalize if he makes a mistake, just like Binks. No, he falls off, and Bren clutches out the ending just ahead of Mime. He does keep the lead, and he gets the fruits for his labor, the reward for the risk he took. Bren gets a point.
It was almost the same story once again for Mime right there. Almost being able to overtake for first just by getting that ending smooth. But it is once again here, Mime as a finalist. We have 2 other people with some points right here, but we see Mime. Did he just hit the outside wall? I'm not 100% sure. It does seem like he kept the speed though. And going into the jump into the left-handed drift right here, we see, was it Bren who didn't really get, no, it was Binks who didn't land in a drift, getting a no slide, unfortunately losing a little bit of time because of it, eating a lot of that penalty dirt. Hopefully he can maintain just his composure and trying to get a little bit of time on these guys.
Yeah, it's not over yet. We've seen that if you nail the end and the other 2 people fail, that's a free point. But now Mime in finalist in first. If he lands it, he's successfully through to the winner bracket, 3-0 at that point. And here Bren trying to deny him that opportunity, trying to go for the inside line on the attack, has a car length lead to spare before the balancing beams, but now utmost precision is necessary, and he crashes into the traffic cone. Mime takes the win, and he will move on to the winner bracket.
Very well played by Mime, and that is some consistency we see there in the ending. It must have taken a lot of practice to get that down, and it definitely pays off right here. Getting that ending 3 times in a row right there, making sure he gets his finalist position over with, and can now, you know, breathe out, say it is over for this round right here. He has to get back into it next time though. Let's take a look. Here, Masa and Binks on first into the Neo slide. Masa getting a nice inside line, getting up here on Binks. Bren is half a second behind, but he's not out yet, as we've seen the last section of the map right here. Masa getting a no slide, and Binks is actually gonna be alone in the lead. Bren wants to be able to overtake, but it's gonna take a little bit of a miracle for him to get Binks. But once again, it is not over. The identity in the ending has taken a lot of players out, and we're just gonna have to see how it ends up. Binks 0.6 seconds ahead, and he definitely just have to cruise into the finish. He does see the checkpoints on the left side of his screen if he chooses to, so he knows he has a little bit of time to work with going into the last couple of corners before the identity right here. Can he maintain the beams position? A quick left and right.
He has hit it.
And he unfortunately does not, and Bren is overtaking him. Masa right behind him, and Bren takes the victory away from Binks. Unfortunate mistake there.
Yeah, Bren bounces back there. He crashed the very first turn, and I thought, man, what's this gonna do to Bren's mental now after failing a winning position in the previous round and then instantly crashing here? But He kept driving, he kept his calm, and he capitalized on the opponent's mistakes. But now, once again, an early mistake. 0.5 behind, and the more spots like this he puts himself in, the greater the chance is that the other players will also catch up and get finalists. And before he knows it, he could end up in the gold match. Right now, we're in the champion match. All these players have won every match up until this point, but 2 players will walk out of this with an L and a lower match later on. Masa right now, though, fighting for survival. 0 points on what is perhaps his best map in the entire map pack. Only beaten on the leaderboards by Pack, who drove a really fast time. Here, he just needs to beat Binks in the final few corners. Gonna try to go for an early dirt line here, Binks, to stay ahead. But Masa is right behind him, right on his tail. A lot of speed coming into the beam part for Masa. If he can hold it, he is not going to hesitate at all. He's going to go full speed, and he's going to take that point away. 1:11.06, which is the fastest time that we've seen today on the map.
What a great ending from Masa right there. Absolutely no safing, full risking. Head first, eyes closed, can't lose. That is the motto right here we're seeing. That is super, super fast.
If you did it with his eyes closed, that would have been something. You know, it might honestly be equal chances of survival. It's so difficult that, like, whether you have your eyes open or not, might not matter.
But right here, we are seeing Binks and Bren. Masa, unfortunately, making a mistake on that drift right there. It is very difficult to get down. Bren clipping, and it's going to hit the outside wall, and Binks is going to be all alone in the start here. He's just going to extend his lead because he did not make any mistakes, and he can save it a little bit right here. I don't think anybody is going to close in on him quite yet. He has a second to work with, and he knows it. So all he's going to do is drive well all the way up until the identity, and he's hopefully going to be able to get that down. But the pressure of knowing that if you fail, a Masa or a Brent can come flying through, because they don't have anything to lose right now. They're going to absolutely full speed that identity, hoping for a mistake from Binks, and we're going to see if that's going to happen right now. Yeah,
and it's like, do you try to release? Because if you have the rhythm for full speed, you might as well. He clips the first one, is quick to back it up, and he will still stay ahead. Though they did get a whole lot closer here. Bren gained 0.4 on Binks' ending, but Binks is now finalist. So him and Bren are both finalists. Masa with 1 point would need 2 rounds back-to-back to win it himself. We are getting into a nail-biter for an ending here.
Absolutely, double finalist, and Masa can make it a triple finalist situation. There is a lot of pressure on these players right now, and they're all neck and neck. 100 separating the players, everybody getting the drift. Masa is a little bit behind, but as you said, he is a tremendously good tech player, and he... Ooh. I just got baited. I
also got baited. That object does not have collision, actually, so Masa able to avoid it. It's one of the few scenery items in the game that doesn't have collision, so he's able to avoid what looked like a mistake by a long shot, and he's still in the race. But Bren has a good lead here, and is so good in the middle part, Bren, that we've seen him here time and time again. This is where he gets his lead. Before the beam part, Binks is doing a great job at following, and even Masa is not that far behind. This could decide the match here. Can Masa come back and make it a triple finalist, or will we have a winner? Binks and Bren are so far ahead that perhaps it will be decided. Bren staying ahead before the last beam, and he is going to get it. Bren secures the win and into the winner bracket with a 1:10.98.
That was probably the best finish we've seen so far from like 3 players at the same time. Almost all of them got through super clean. 2 of them full speeding through that ending. Very nice to see. And that is exactly also why an identity like this is a good reason to have the KO thing changed, because an identity like this can change so much in the field, and if the players don't get to play it, it would be such a shame.
It would, because, like, you know, it isn't actually over. Like we've seen, some people can fail. They're not robots playing the tracks. And what we did see is Mime and Bren remain in the winner bracket, and Carl Jr. and Papu, if you have a look at the thing in the bottom left, have won their matches in the gold matches, so they will be jumping up into the winner bracket. That's going to be one hell of a match. Mime, Bren, Papu, and Carl. And then we will have Binks, Masa, Gwen, and Grenadi in the gold match. Those are the 2 matches to look out for here.
Yes. And as you said, Mime, Bren, Papu, and Carl Jr. does look like a very stacked match right here.
And the map is going to be... It's one of the more interesting maps that we've seen. You know, Water Glider is the next map. It is a different map than most. We can have a look at it in this short breathing room period. Water Glider features underwater driving and also hoverboarding on water with reactor boosters. You'll see it here. There's wet plastic. Do you have any opinions about wet plastic, Janik, that you'd like to share?
I mean, to be fair, I've driven a lot of matchmaking and also a little high level matchmaking in this campaign. And as you know, the map 25 on the campaign this season is a full-on plastic water map.
It is.
So
it is very difficult.
I've gotten a little used to it, but some of the mechanics definitely can throw you off if you haven't practiced it fully. And on a map like this, it does not get easier at all.
And we're seeing a full run of it right now. It's driven by Mime. This is a demo run of the track. It's a lot about keeping the speed because on wet plastic, you just have no grip. So you just want to try to steer the car as straight as possible. And then on the plastic here, there is the possibility for a no slide. Mime insists that it's faster. We might see him do it, where they intentionally don't slide the car. Then you just dive into the water, full commit to a left turn, and here you have to panic brake to avoid the car from flying up on the uphill, avoid the airtime as much as you can on the downhill, and then there's the hoverboarding ending, which looks really cool, but it's very difficult to squeeze out all the time from it. You want to just land as early as you can and then full send the turn to the left. Then set up for a right turn and then smoothly go to the left on the last one.
Absolutely. And that last turn, or one of the last turns right there on the water, it can be pretty easy to do what looks like a slide out, but it's more of a, you just fly.
Yeah, your car just bounces. It doesn't keep the grip on the water. That sounds weird to say, but you can lose a lot of time on the water if you don't get the ideal line.
Are we jumping into match 1?
We are going on to match 1 to see.
An interesting thing about that is that Mime currently holds the online world record right here on the map with a 57.125.
That is fast time. It is so much faster than most people on the leaderboards.
It's 0.2 faster than second place. I don't know what Mime did to achieve that, but we might get a look into if he has any different line than the other players in the map here.
Yeah, exactly. It could be the no slide on the plastic like we mentioned. It could be something in the ending, but what I can tell you is Mime on any surface that is very slide heavy, be it grass, be it plastic, be it dirt, he's really good. That is some of his strengths, and every time there's a Cup of the Day track with one of those features, you are sure to see Mime as one of the top players. He's really good on anything that slides, speed slides. Yeah, that's a Mime type of thing.
Talking about speed slides, this is actually not something I'm not 100% sure about. But you said that he insists on no sliding on the plastic. But isn't it possible to actually get that speed slide on the plastic? Why do you think it's slower?
I think since it's right here, if you spectate Mime, on this part, when you go into the plastic, you can no slide the car before it shifts gear. And once you're under that 4th gear, when the car is under 200 speed effectively, it's faster to not slide. The car accelerates more when it has full grip in the game's physics. So that's why he's doing it, but it's a very precise steering movement and something I think would be much more difficult on controller than on keyboard because of something called action keys. That is what Mime's doing to achieve it. Controller players can also use action keys. I'm not sure if players like Papu have implemented them, but they allow you to steer at a very exact steering angle for turns like that.
Absolutely, and you need that because if he accidentally started to slide and he geared up because of it, not that you guys need to know too much about gears, but all you need to know is if he accidentally gears up while he slides, he is gonna lose a decent amount of speed, and that makes that no slide section a little bit risky if he didn't have his action keys.
Yeah, and we see Carl Jr. actually doing it here beautifully demonstrates that no slide technique. When you're under 200, you avoid the car from sliding out, and then as soon as it goes over, you stop steering, and then you go into a slide. That is the science behind it. Beautifully demonstrated.
Yeah, it's hard to say, Chad, but there is so much going into what these guys are doing that is behind the scenes, so to say. That is just techniques that are very, very difficult, that is not immediately obvious if you don't do them yourself. But trust us when we say that some of these techniques that these guys are showing off just casually are incredibly difficult to pull off, especially in live matches.
I think a lot of it is missed because you kind of just see the cars go fast, but there's all these like tiny details that they do to gain more speed. And even us, like, we were casting, but we play the game ourselves, and we are in awe seeing just how close they can get to the limit on a lot of these tracks, and all the minor details that they are able to execute consistently.
Absolutely, but that's what makes, I think, the Trackmania a very, very nice sport to watch, because there is such a big nuance to everything that's going on, so you can dive deep into it, but you can also just enjoy the cars go brrr and see how well that goes.
Exactly, you can't just watch car go brrr, and that's what we're gonna do here in a second. The players have all joined the server. Bren has arrived to play, and I gotta say it's a really nice thing to see Carl Jr. back in shape and back, like, actually going all in now. Seeing him in the winner bracket and not like at the bottom because of some multiplier format. This is where his skill level belongs, and you know, it's a good thing that we have a prepared Carl for the matches.
Absolutely. You guys hear us talk a lot about Carl. Back in the day when I watched a lot of Tmgl on the previous games as well, TM2 and stuff, I've never seen a tier list where casters and such haven't placed Carl in S tier. That is how influential he has been for a long time.
And it's like, you can't. You're making a bad prediction if you bet against Carl Jr. It's one of the long-time Trackmania quotes. Betting against Carl Jr. is a bad idea. He is just consistently, and has been for the past, I'd say 8-9 years consistently, the best Trackmania player. 4 times world champion. He won 3 times back-to-back. He's won the Serrator Cup, a very prestigious cup, 5 times. The list of accolades goes on, but Carl Jr. is a force to be reckoned with in Trackmania esports.
And now that we're talking about him, he is about to show us what he can do against these other players. But these players are nothing to scoff at. And Carl Jr. actually hitting the inside on that turn right there. Unfortunately, going to lose him about 0.05 of a second. We see Mime and Papu in front. You got to remember, Mime currently holds the public world record right here. But Papu, unfortunately, Bren hitting the outside. Mime also crashing, and Papu is going to be left alone in the front. 0.8 to work with. So he can afford to save the ending a little bit. There, you can risk right here, but we're gonna see Papu slow down, take the turn, very nicely done, and he just has one more jump into the finish, and it's gonna be Papu getting that ending. Very nice. 2 seconds ahead of everybody else.
Yeah, everybody crashed
another
out.
mistake. Yeah,
Carl crashed the finish even, but a bit of the caster's curse perhaps. We talk up Carl, and the first mistake comes right after it, but this track is so difficult to drive well. It is just one of the weirdest things. It's not something like you'd normally play. Almost no tracks look like this, and Mime has really mastered it on pace. Has he mastered it on consistency? Here we're going to see what the players opt for. We see actually all of them trying that no-slide technique, but Carl eating the gear at the end of it, doesn't cancel the steering in time. And that's why the other 3 players have more speed before the uphill. But here you really don't want to have a lot of speed. You could jump out. If you're too fast, carry the speed down the hill. Good move from Papu to slow down a little bit to keep full grip. And now we go into the ending with Bren in the lead. 3 tenths ahead of Mime. Let's see if Mime has any magic that he's been working on. No, he bounces out. And Bren stays even further in front now. That is a round for him to take in a really good time.
A 57.5. That is, yeah, top 5 world.
Top 5 world.
That is incredibly fast. Yeah, incredibly fast. Very, very nice to see. We see Bren and Papu with a point so far. Carl Jr. Mime so far not getting a point. Mime with the world record, and Carl Jr. The previous world champion here with no points, but there's nothing over yet. We see the pace of these players are very close to each other, as we see Mime unfortunately making a mistake, leaving Papu and Carl Jr. in the front here. Bren also with a mistake, more than a second behind. We have the top 2 contenders for the victory right here. Let's see if any of them do make a mistake here in the uphill. Slow down, get the grip on the car, don't slide out. That can be very, very difficult. Carl Jr. with a little more speed, overtaking Papu here, going into the ending. Papu slowing down a little bit more, but gets a better line into the jump. Papu in front, Carl Jr. right behind him. Who's gonna get the better turn, Papu or Carl Jr. with an inside line? Papu a little bit slower, and Carl Jr. does seem to be getting that finish just in front. 600s faster.
What a battle. That was like knife and tooth from both players. And the difference, 0.69 seconds. A nice round at that, let's say. And Carl Jr. now on the board with a point going into the next round. But that was without Mime and Brennan. Bren showed that he too can drive, as we said, top 5 world. So if all these players survive the track without any mistakes, we're going to have such a close fight for only one person to win it. Here, Carl Jr. going for the no slide, gets it better than Bren and Papu.
Very nice.
Who both, as we say, 8th the gear. That means they steered the car while it was gearing. Here, Carl Jr., a lot of speed. Mime hitting the wall. He's in first now, Carl. And he slides out, losing the grip a little bit. The 2 French players now left to battle it out. It's Bren versus Papu into the ending, Janik.
Yes, and the ending is close once again. Papu trying to overtake, going for an inside line, but Bren actually getting less extra speed, and Papu's going to overtake here in the inside line, and he actually misses the finish, and Bren gets the victory. 200s ahead of Papu. That is very unfortunate.
Whew.
Oh my god. So that can happen sometimes if you don't get the exact line you need and you're flying on top of, you don't have a lot of grip when you fly on that water, so you can slide out, so to say. And that's what happened right there. Papu unfortunately hitting the finish line. We see a mistake in the start from Papu, unfortunately gonna be out of this round. We have the top 3 players, Carl Jr. in front though.
Yeah, and that is like what that does to you, like the mental game, right? Like you hit the finish and then you're like, oh man, I can't believe I threw that, and then it's just hard to recover from that. Carl Jr. making a small mistake. Bren finalist, kind of gone under the radar, but he takes 2 wins and he has a chance to go into the final winners match of today, but Mime is going to try to deny him that opportunity. It's only 500s, or at least it was before the downhill incident. Bren almost jumping out of the track here, recovers it with a bug slide, and suddenly Carl Jr. is not too far behind to make something happen. This could quickly turn into a comeback if Bren misses the last jump. Oh, 400ths of a second it is in favor of Bren, who takes the one of 2 spots into the winner bracket match here.
We're seeing some very, very close finishes right here. Very nice rounds. Anything can happen at the ending in these identities, and they're very cleverly placed right there to make it super exciting for you guys. Mime here in the front. He wants to see if he can get that first point to his name. Currently doesn't have a point yet. The 2 others want to deny him getting into that finalist position. Mime does seem to have a very nice lead going for the no slide right here.
Oh, but Carl Jr. getting
so
much
really
speed.
Nice.
That is
really
crazy.
Nice
catches up, and at this point, Mime's probably feeling the heat. He's driving a really fast pace here. No mistakes so far. Carl getting a lot more speed in the uphill, but we saw a slide out happen here. Takes it a bit more precautiously at the cost of a few hundreds. Carl catching up side by side before the water part. Who dares to risk this the most now? On the second bounce, it's go time as Mime and Papu both lose a bit of speed. Carl Jr. zooming into the finish line, 57.67.
Absolutely. And that grip in that turn, it looks like they're slowing down a lot, but it is very, very hard to tell how fast you can drive there, because the car accelerates just like that, so fast. And if you have too much of a steering motion, you're gonna slide out and lose a bunch of that speed. Mime with a mistake in the start, unfortunately. Carl Jr. and Papu in the lead. Papu really wants to deny Carl right here. If Carl wins, he's going to take that second victory position. Papu with a nice line, overtaking Carl. A little bit behind, but we have seen Carl get a lot of speed here.
Papu didn't do the no slide, and he's catching up a little bit with that line. Now then, Papu, he does have a point. Could get finalist if he wins this one. Great uphill line, no slide out action to be had. And Carl Jr. and Mime aren't getting closer. Papu is driving really solid up front. Only an uphill line there to gain a 10th for Carl. And now on the second water bounce, you have to commit to the left turn. Papu keeps the grip this time. Carl loses it, and Papu will join Carl as a finalist with a 57 of his own. And now there's a lot of pressure on Mime, who still has yet to win a round on perhaps his best map.
Absolutely, but it has been seen yet. We did see the reverse sweep earlier today in the Trackmania Challenger League. I can't remember who did it, but we did see reverse sweep today. So it's not impossible, but there is a lot of pressure on Mime's shoulders right now to deny both these players. And Carl Jr. and Papu are not easy players to deny the victory here.
Yeah,
let's see what he can do.
Would have to walk in Enner's footsteps, as you said, from the Trackmania Challenger League. But here, there is no grip to be had on the penalty grass, and he's going to lose a second with that. We will have a winner after this is said and done. Carl Jr. or Papu. Carl Jr. into the wall. Papu has made a breakaway. There's no one even close. Mime only 6,800 behind, but that is more than enough if he gets a safe ending here. And Papu could join Bren into the winner's final. Just needs to make sure he gets this left movement with full grip, and he has it. This should be Papu swimming in to the finish line to take it. There you have it. Bren and Papu are the winners of the winner's bracket, and they will join. Well, let's see if the matches have concluded here. They will join Massa and Grenadi in the finals.
Oh, that's very interesting. Once again, Grenadi, one of the, or the only wheel player in the Grand League right here. Very interesting to see. Yeah,
and I mean, now we're gonna see essentially Germany versus France. It's Brennan, Papu versus Grenadi and Massa. But here we have a quad final situation in match number 3 to see who will join the gold match. Aurel in the lead is going to secure that just as we join the server here, just in front of Afi and Otak. It's going to see the final action of this match here. It's something you don't see too often, 4 finalists. There is still 1 spot left to secure here. From the silver players, you can always see the match we're watching, top left. And if you win, you of course go 1 step up, so that is gold. If you win here, let's see who will take that last spot then. Looks like a small lead has built up for the others over Otak in the start. So yeah, didn't get the best line in the underwater part, but now he has to make it work, or else he gets demoted into the bronze match. Otak, who was looking so good at the start of the day, winning the first match that we spectated. Here he's half a second behind in the uphill, but Kappa jumps out, and Afi's in the lead. Just ahead.
Solo in the lead right here. Actually does have a decent lead, half a second down to Otak. So as long as he doesn't slide out here, it does look like Afi has it in his hand. And Otak actually slides out a little bit, and Afi is just going to safe it into the finish line, securing that winner's bracket gold match.
Yeah, so it will be, we will have the final matches of the day. And these are the super important ones. I'm not sure if they're playing for 3rd and 4th here. I don't think they are. To explain why this matters now, we might have to take a look at the overview to show that. So let's hop out of the game here and show you why this is very important. The players are warming up. Here you can see it in the camera. Starts out with like this long grass platform transitional part. No drifts before you get into this section with the freewheeling. And then you have a loop, some more drifts, and it ends with a bug slide. You jump, land sideways on the grass, and do a bug slide across a small bridge, and then drive into the finish. All the players are on the server here. So we're going to get into it. It's one of my favorite tracks in this map pack.
Yes, I was just confused about the servers, but I think I'm in the right one.
You got in?
Yes.
I mean, you think about the level, right? When you have the second best match is Carl Jr., Aurel, Offie, and Mime, you know you have a stacked league. And these players are going to fight for gold. Like I say, the 2 top players get a gold medal. 2 bottom players get a silver medal. That's what they're playing for. And on this map, who do we have on the leaderboards? I think Mime has the world record on the track.
He does, yes.
Yeah, with a 102.66, I'm guessing. If I remember that right.
Yes, that is right. 102.669. Very nice.
Very nice indeed. And the other players don't really have public times, I think. That's like last time I checked.
I don't see them, no. Not in the top, what you would expect them to be.
So we will have to see in this round what they are capable of. We're live in the first round on grass line, map 5, and Carl Jr. with a small mistake on the first jump. Losing a little bit. Oh, losing a lot. That's a DNF. Recognizes he is not going to win this round. It's now left for the other 3 to battle for. And Mime in the lead. Before this downhill drift, you want to drift and end up very far down on the track so you can go up again through this corner. Offie hit the wall as well, so it's a 1 versus 1. Aurel versus Mime, and Mime is so good at this ending that Aurel is really going to have to work some magic here if he wants to beat him.
Absolutely, and I do want to stress out that DNFing does not mean that he's given up. It means that he is recalibrating his brain and getting back into it. Going into the last buck slide right here, you gotta line your car up between these small bridges right here. And Mime does it perfectly, entering a no slide into the finish.
And that's an absurd time to open with. The first round, you haven't had that much warm-up. You drive a 102.89. I think that's like top 5 leaderboard.
It is.
Starting out. But Mime is so good at that bug slide. He really gets a sharp line while also setting up early, which is something you can't really do consistently. We lost the car.
Yeah, Offie unfortunately did this exact same thing as Carl Jr. did, and he's going to be 3 seconds behind almost.
Carl also hit the wall here, so it's a repeat round. Aurel versus Mime, and now that Aurel knows that these Mimens are going to be tough to keep up with, he better try to get some form of a lead here in the middle section before he has to get a better bug slide end. But Mime remaining ahead here into the grass downhill turn. And now there's just one more drift where you can gain or lose significant amount of time before the ending. So Mime being in first before it looks like he could make something happen here. Aurel with the no slide catching up. Is he going to go too far? Oh, almost off the edge. And that is another quick win for Mime. 103.01 this time.
Absolutely. Mime with a very, very consistent map right here. He does also hold the world record, so you would expect it. But already, finalist, back-to-back win from Mime right here. Very, very well done. Let's see if we see any mistakes in the first CP once again. Hopefully the players have learned not to do that. And they're all through it. Mime, once again, actually fighting for first. Seems like he gets a little bit more exit speed. Going into the left-handed slide right here. You want to exit without sliding? It is very much a battle. We're talking less than 0.1 between all of the players right here. Offie in front. Everybody seems to get the engine off turn just fine. We're seeing a little bit of a difference in the line there, right there. Some people going a little tighter, some people going a little more up. The wall does not seem to make the hugest difference. Going into the last section of the map, Offie and Mime in front, Carl Jr. right behind him. It is a neck and neck going into the last slide right here. We are looking at the same speed from all players, basically. Over the bridge right here. Everybody just hit fine. Mime actually overtaking here in the ending, and he takes it from Offie by point.
What a race.
of a second.
My God, what a round.
Incredible performance by Mime.
Yeah, Mime, 3 quick wins to secure gold. Almost a shame we didn't get to see him in champion, because I don't think anyone could match him on this track. Consistent pace under 103. And very interesting from Aurel. No, a mistake from Offie on that jump again. Makes it a 1 versus 1. Interesting from Aurel. In that last dirt turn, he does a no slide to gain more speed, whereas the other players are sliding. And I'm not sure if you're going to get to see it play into a win here, as he is 0.4 behind Carl, but it does save time. And the reason is that no sliding is faster than sliding, but slower than speed sliding. Speed sliding is when you have the skid marks very close together. You can't do it in that turn, which is why Aurel no slides. Big brain stuff, and it only saves maybe 500ths. But wait, he's right back. You might see it here. No slide through the entire turn. Carl does it as well, but Aurel gets so much speed from that. Could actually snipe the ending here with a good bug slide. Carl ending up wide. Aurel having a good approach. Does he send it? Oh, 600ths to spare. Carl Jr. takes it.
Aurel actually would have gotten that one, but he did clip the inside corner of the very, very last turn. But that was such a good setup for Aurel, getting a very, very tight line with the drift and setting up for a very quick, what's the name of it? Whatever, a very quick turn afterwards.
Yeah, very quick no slide snap right after.
No slide, that was the word I was looking for.
Blanking on it. Aurel too wide here, that's going to be a crash. Did not have the trajectory, and it's kind of like when you see that, you know the feeling when you see your car's going to end up, and you think like, oh no, this is wide. This is very wide. You want to commit to it, you have to commit to it to win, but it does not work out.
Absolutely. You're also seeing both the players actually doing a little bit of a wiggle before that looping right there, and that's because of that trick that Virtual just talked about a second ago, where you actually gain speed from overlapping your skid marks. Right here into the last section of the map. Afi on first, Carl Jr. only 0.1 behind, can overtake here, gets a very nice slide right here, and actually overtakes. Very well done.
That was a powerful bug slide from Carl. Just full snap inside line, and then the no slide to follow. Finalist now for Carl. In the first step of Trackmania Grand League, we are seeing him back in shape. Curious if he can close it out here, as the other two players have no points yet. So he has some undisturbed attempts before they catch up to him in points. Maybe he could make it a quick match together with Mime, winning in just 6 rounds total. But right now he's in last, so perhaps it's not over yet.
You cannot just sit back and feel safe in these rounds, because once again, the others have nothing to lose. They're gonna go full send into the turns right here. Ooh, as we see Afi unfortunately hitting the outside wall. Aurel now taking first place. Carl Jr. with a little less speed. Aurel's gonna extend his lead right here. Let's see how they go in. Oh, Carl Jr. getting a little bit too much of a slide, a little airtime. That's going to decrease his speed. Aurel extending his lead into the last section right here. So if Aurel doesn't make any huge mistakes, it could be him taking it, but it's not over yet. Carl Jr. going for an inside line, but Aurel does it beautifully, making sure that he keeps that lead, taking it for the win.
But Aurel is looking, Carl Jr. is looking so good at that ending. He almost caught up to Aurel, despite being 0.4 behind. So it really looks like Aurel and Afi are going to have to get a lead on Carl before the bug slide, because he gets it so sharp and sets up so early that he's going to gain a 10th consistently, if not more, in that section.
Absolutely, and you can see that the players are jumping so close to that first CP to minimize the airtime, and Carl Jr. did that a little better than the others, gaining him just a few hundredths of a second, but it is worth it because these games are so tight. They're 0.05 away from each other. We're talking less than 1/10 of a second separating the players. A few wiggles going in here, a few speed slides from Carl Jr. here on first place. Aurel and Afi neck and neck. Carl Jr. trying to extend his lead a little bit. Very nice entrance into the bank dirt turn right, or grass turn right here. Carl Jr. keeping his pace up, 0.1 seconds ahead of the pack.
And he is going to remain ahead. Afi will get closer with that no slide line, but is it going to be enough in the ending? Will Carl Jr. close it out right here, right now? No, he will not, as Afi gets a beautiful ending off the track. 102.91. And he gets on the board as well. They've taken turns denying Carl.
And here, Carl might be feeling the pressure a little bit. They're only 2 victories each away from the podium right here. So he does have to close it out. And once you get that finalist mode, it can get into your head. It is difficult to close it out, but Carl is very, very experienced. So he is not going to let it get to him. A little bit of an outside line coming in there from Aurel. Wait, no. Yeah, it was Aurel.
Aurel, yeah,
Yes.
indeed. Carl Jr. having to go wide for speed as well in order to avoid a crash. And here, this turn, does he commit on time? Oh, it was very close to both walls here, Carl. The advantage of that is going to be a lot of exit speed. You can see him here rolling up next to Aurel for second place, but Uffy has a solid lead, all things considered, 0.1. And if he can do this no slide downhill line as well, he's going to gain a lot on his opponents. Look at that. So remains 0.15 ahead of Aurel. Last jump, set it up sideways, slide through the turn. He's very much on the inside, but that is enough to win. And Uffy joins Carl Jr. with the finalist badge. Could take that gold medal right out of his hands and say, no, I'm taking this one together with mine.
Getting denied 3 times in a row can be difficult. But let's see Carl Jr. if he can bounce back here. Going for a really inside jump on the first CP. You see Carl Jr. doing it beautifully. Actually getting a more inside line. Getting a good lead. Almost 0.1 in the start. Aurel in the back though. Not too far. We're talking 0.2 of a second here. Getting a really nice inside line there for Aurel. Such a long jump. Actually catching up to the pack. 500 separating the players going into this no engine turn. Everybody does it just well. A couple of speed slides from the players. Afi a little bit behind, but nothing too major.
Yeah, it is anything but done here before the end. We know Carl is good at it though. So Aurel here in the dirt turn, this is where you're gonna have to make the move and get that no slide line. It's not gonna get the skid mark, so it will not gain as much speed as it otherwise would have. He's 0.10 behind before the end, and he needs the ending of a lifetime to beat Carl. He will not get it, and Carl Jr. takes the gold medal here together with Mime. And Aurel and Uffy both end up with silver.
Well played there from Carl. He does really seem to have that slide down. That bug slide in the ending can be very difficult, but he sets it up beautifully to get that no slide turn right after. And that's what we're going to see the players aim for in this next match.
Exactly, yeah. We are coming up to the end of the step here. All the other matches have concluded. You can see Mudda and Bink secured a silver medal, Scrappy and Gwen got bronze, Spam and Kappa got bronze, and Otak and Pack actually with the worst step gets no medals this time around. We're gonna have to try again next week. So we are going to the champion match, where here Bren, Papu, Grenadi, and Massa, the winners, get champion medals worth a lot in the overall standings, and the losers get gold.
And this is also definitely such a stacked match. Brent, Papu, Grenadi, and Masa are all incredibly good players. Masa currently holding the 2nd world record on this map. The others, I think, might have played this a little bit more in secrecy. So I don't really know what their pace is, but I'm sure if they're here in the final match, it's going to be great.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and you know, Papu, I think he always practices in secrecy. He was one of the first players to even start doing that, like in way back, like 2-3 years ago, in Trackmania 2 Stadium. So he is always hiding his pace, but always shows up driving fast. And Grenadi and Bren, I'm not sure how well this map suits him. Grenadi, in particular, especially that bug slide section. When you drive it on a steering wheel, you have to snap it so much harder than just pressing a key on your keyboard, right? So I'm wondering how that is gonna play out from here, if this is a good thing for him or a bad thing.
Well, the question is, I've seen Grenadi switch between steering wheel and keyboard pretty quickly. And the question is, if he's going to break out that keyboard for some of the quick taps that he needs to do, the quick switches, I don't know if that's the case here.
They are actually saying in chat that he switches to keyboard, which would be quite the strategy for the ending. To just do keyboard and then action key it for the no slide. Might be quicker than turning the wheel. we will see. We're about to start 15 seconds. This is the final. This is what we've been waiting for. All these players have either won 4 matches in a row or won 3 and lost 1. And they are here to battle for the first champion medals. And we're going to see how they handle Grassline. First to 3 points wins. It's that simple. And just going into it, like this, the players, you really got no time to warm up. You have to be on your game right now.
Absolutely. Going into the first round here, we see all the players trying to go as tight as possible to get that inside line. Grenade executing it the best here in the start. Papu right behind him going into this left-handed slide into the jump. Everybody seems to be doing it just fine. It's a very tight pack. Bren in the back, though, trying to overtake, going into the no engine section. Everybody does it flawlessly, it seems like. A few speed slides once again. Bren going pretty high up the wall, trying to get more exit speed to get his catch up on the other players here.
Exactly, and you can see it's actually working out. That exit speed pays dividends. He's only a 10th behind, and we have an incredibly close first round in the final. Papu leading the charge, 1/10 ahead of the others, but the bug slide will decide it. Who can get the best snap here? Massa with an incredible slide to take that first round.
Ooh.
I think he went from last to first.
And that just goes to show how important these identities are. You really, and on this one specifically, you want to get a very, very tight slide. So you get into that no slide section right after just snapping into that no slide, action keyed up, and then get a full speed turn into the finish.
Yeah, it was a beautiful comeback, and that was on one of Massa's slowest starts. Imagine he gets a good start. Imagine he just happens to be in first, or at least close enough in second here with the others, but I mean, it's really impossible to tell who's actually in the lead when the rounds are this close. You can see after the drift here, Massa with a beautiful inside approach and gets the uphill timing to go into first. Papu right next to him with a lot of speed.
We see these different approaches in the loop. I think it's because they want different exit speeds. Going up high can give you more exit speed. Going into the transition onto the road part, you really want to make... Oh, Papu with a mistake! Unfortunately, going out of this round, nothing is over here for Massa, Bren, and Grenade. Grenade with such an amazing amount of speed, but he goes super inside, doesn't get the slide. Bren also making a mistake, and Massa now just taking it into the finish solo.
Damn, it's a big day for Berlin International Gaming. Massa, 2 wins in a row here, finalist in the finals, and 1 more win would give him the champion medal, the first one in the season. And Massa has been playing Trackmania Grand League consistently for the past, 3-4 years, ever since the league's inception. And he's really had yet to have like that massive season that we know he has been capable of. Struggled with consistency, struggled a little bit with motivation and point loss when that was a thing, but now this might be the year of Massa when he has a fast 1-lap format that he can excel at and really prove how good he is in this exact form of competition. Papu will match him. He's not going to get it easy, but he is just 1 win away from securing this first important champion medal.
Massa is in the lead now, going into the last section of the map. He is only 1 drift and 1 no slide away from getting this finalist over with. Let's see if he gets it, setting up wide, going inside line into the no drift section. Papu is so close to him, but he's gonna get it. Massa maintains the lead and gets the victory. Very well played by Massa.
Well played, and with a beautiful time. That was a 1:03.131. Nice number, and just consistent. I mean, his best time 1:03.11. Driving around that pace, it's gonna be tough for the others to match. I think only Mime could have done it in the gold match, so Massa lucky not to have to face him here. But that is the medal secured, and the others are all at zeros. So this is an even game for the others to see who can get to 3 points first.
Massa with a 3-game sweep is very impressive. But the other players also have the pace to show us some incredible rounds right here. And there is no pressure to deny Massa now. So let's see what the other players are capable of here, where everybody is even.
Yeah, and we see even on points, but Papu and Bren are a lot faster in this round. Bren catching up to Papu before the dirt. But now the exit speed before the last jump will be vital. How much can you carry? And how do you set this up to get the best fling possible in the bug slide? Papu with an inside approach. Bren with more speed, but the inside approach is worth it for Papu, who drives a new best time of 102.98.
102.98 is very fast. That's a top 10 world.
It is indeed, and I mean, I think he cranked up the pace a little bit too late. Now Muscle's already out of it, but that would be enough to even challenge him. So Papu, we don't know his personal best. He always practices in secret, but we know he sure is fast here as well. And there's a reason he went to the top match. He came here to play, gets the first point, and he really puts pressure on the others by doing that. Now they know 102.98, that is the benchmark. That's what I have to do as well. And Granati's going to do his best to try to keep up here with the others, because last round he lost too much in the start, and he has that dirt line that Arel was doing as well that he could use to catch up. Just needs to be within a tenth, and he can be right up next to them before the bug slide.
Yes, and he does try to advance up here on the field, but he is 0.1 behind. Nothing is over yet, though. He can get a perfect bug slide right here. Let's see if he gets it. Bren in first, Papu on second. Granati really getting close to the others, but it does look like Bren overtakes Papu in the very ending with a more inside line. And Bren now gets his point.
Oh, Bren fighting right back. 100th of a second is the difference. Good round by both.
Absolutely. Definitely so intense there in the ending when people are so close to each other here. The players, all their paces are almost equal by the end. Gets to show us just how important training these identities can be. Granati on first now, though.
And
trying to maintain that first. Yeah, exactly. He really tries to maintain that lead. He really wants to do it. It did look like he also had the pace in the ending, so he can maintain it. He can show us, gets a really, really nice inside line on the dirt, but maybe not the most exit speed.
Yeah, that's what is the downfall of that line. It looked so visually impressive. Full inside wheel right into the wall, but he lacks the speed of his opponents. Here, though, he can gain it. We've talked so much about this. This line right here gains more speed than the others, and Granati is going to be first before the bug slide ahead of the two French players, but now he switches to keyboard and needs to get the no slide line on the last bridge, and he has it. He answers back. They're all equal.
They're all equal once again. 1-1-1 to the players. Okay, this is getting very interesting. If they do this one more time, we're going to have a triple finalist situation, but let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Yeah, and how Granati was able to gain this lead was with that small wiggle. He got it perfect last round, then a low line. Like, we started to think, like, you know, rounds don't matter until the end, but on a map like this, it's kind of different from Tightrope, where here we can predict that the players will survive the end, and then these hundreds in the start, they start to matter. So Granati, again, a fast run, just about matching the pace of the previous one, and if he now hits the uphill better than last time, he could put himself in a position to take 2 rounds back-to-back, though it looks like Papu has a much better loop line here. Granati just lost the 10th.
Yeah, and that's what's important here, because there are parts of this map where you don't do harsh drifts, which means that you don't just lose all your speed. So speed can snowball. Granati with kind of a long jump right there, unfortunately not getting the no slide as he wants to. Papu and Bren in front. Who's going to take the lead here? Papu seems to be doing it just fine. Bren almost getting him, but Papu maintains the lead with 103.15.
It's only 500s. Think about how little of a difference that is. You start driving a race and your opponent is just 500s faster a minute later of driving at the world-class level. To mention it again, the world record 102.669. So about half a second faster than what they're doing consistently. It's crazy the level that we have at the top here, and Papu now has a chance to go to the very top together with Masa after step 1. If he just wins one more round, putting a lot of pressure on the others, they have to deny him, and he's creeping closer and closer to first, overtaking Granati, and with a good loop line here, he could even catch up to Bren, who will just barely remain ahead before the last couple of turns.
Papu really trying to get in on Bren here. If he gets this victory, he will secure himself second place, but Bren wants to deny him that. Grenady is also not out of the game yet. Bren on first, Papu making a mistake. Grenady trying to get in on Bren, but Bren maintains the lead, and it's going to be a double finalist situation now.
Yeah, both the French players finalists, Bren and Papu, with the red badge. And Grenady, he isn't driving slow here either. He's driving extremely good Trackmania. And he needs 2 rounds in a row to make it a double German win today. See how this very important round now will unfold. All of them getting a good speed slide in the start. Setting up for this full speed left turn. Gotta commit to it. Grenady doing it really well to get up into first. Just a couple of hundreds ahead, but then here, this section, Papu has a great drift, and Bren has usually a good loop line. Can Grenady match that here? How far will he be behind after the loop? It is 0.12. Not impossible to deny the finalists, but we have to start considering the possibility that this might be the final round. Bren and Papu going in first and second into the ending. If one of them wins, they claim the champion medal together with Massa. Bren in first before the bug slide, but Grenady is in the battle. He slides out. Bren onto the last bridge. Will be able to secure it ahead of Papu, and that is a victory for him together with Massa. They are our champions tonight.
Absolutely, and well played by both of them. But I am truly impressed by Massa getting that 3-0 victory in the start, securing him that champion medal. But Bren also taking it with a very, very nice performance right after.
And I think Bren, the only player to go 5-0 on the day. He didn't drop a single game.
Oh.
And the others, I mean, Massa came through from the gold match previously, so really good match day for Bren. And I mean, interesting development now for the next weekend. We're gonna have like a full overview standing of where the players are at the moment in a second, but some good takeaways, I think. Really impressed with the consistency of the players. Not a lot of crashes that really happened in the last rounds here. They were all just decided by pace. I think that's the biggest takeaway. It's just insane consistency.